What's down, people, and welcome back to another episode of Ghetto Gospel. So where we left off at. Last week, we talked about how folks started having kids earlier and earlier, and how their lifetime started getting shorter and shorter. We also talked about how this particular section of the book is a family record for this dude named Tarak, with the hard KH, even though it don't say much about him, other than the fact that he moved his family to a new spot. The last thing we brushed on was his son Abram and his daughter-in-law Sarai, and the fact that they couldn't have no kids, which already tell you more about them than you even know about Tarak. And it's supposed to be his family record, right? And now we caught up. Now the last thing you read in chapter 11, right on the border of chapter 12, is that Tarak took his whole family and headed to the land of Canaan. But they ain't make it because they stopped at this place, which is pronounced like this. And the last thing you read in chapter 11 is that Tarak died right there in Haran. So the first thing you read in chapter 12 is that God told Abram to move out of the land of his relatives, basically his hometown, and go to a new land that God was going to show him. And then God gave Abram all these promises about how he was going to bless him and take care of him and make him a great nation and whatnot. But check this out. God ain't tell Abram where he was going until he got there, which if you think about it, say a whole lot about how much Abram trusted that God was credible. We talked about that whole credible thing in episode 3. Like, this man just took God at his word, packed up his family, and said, alright, I'ma head out. Like, the only time I ever remember doing something like that was when I joined the military. My outcome was kind of a toss-up. But for Abram, they took off in the direction of Canaan. And for those of y'all that's been paying attention, y'all probably done already realized that this was where his pops was headed before they decided to stop in Haran, which I never noticed before I just reread this for this episode. Something else I never thought about before was this. I wonder why Tarak decided to go to Canaan in the first place. When I look at what God told Abram once he got there, it make me wonder if that's where God wanted Tarak to go, and he just got tired and decided to stay in Haran. Like, I wonder if God wanted Tarak to have all them promises he just laid out for Abram, but he dropped the ball. Y'all ain't been rocking with me long enough to see this yet, but when you keep reading this, you'll start to see some patterns pop out. That whole idea of the main character dropping the ball the first time, but getting it right the second time, happens so much in the Bible that it didn't already happen at least twice since I started this series. Y'all just ain't got enough context to see it yet. That's part of that whole master of entendres thing I talked about in episode 5. So what we supposed to do with all this information about some folks who lived buku long ago? Well, like I always say, everything is an example. Either what to do or what not to do. And what I take from this is 2 things. If you got something in your heart you want to accomplish, don't give up on that thing halfway through. The second thing is this. Just because things ain't pan out the first time, don't mean that's the way things is always gonna be. I see a lot of folks talking about how hard they is, but all it takes to fold them up is a little bit of adversity. I'm preaching to myself right now. I'm sure this ain't for none of y'all out there. So that's it for this week. I'll see y'all next week, and as always, peace, and I hope y'all people straight.